Welcome to the online training course for SharePoint Job Order Automation System. Today we are going to walk you through the process of creating, modifying, and closing a job order using the new eJOA application. First, let's click on Create New Job Order. The first panel is the Responsible Bureau Information panel. The required field for this panel is the Responsible Bureau and the job order title. In our example, we'll use Bureau of Architecture as a responsible bureau. So click on the drop-down menu, choose Bureau of Architecture. Section is an optional field, but in our example, we'll use PM for our section. We'll type in the job order title. And we'll type in the comments. If you have a job order number that you reserved, click on Enter Reserved button. Click on OK. Type in the job order number that you reserved and click on Submit. In this example, we will have the system automatically generate the number for us. So click on Cancel. The next section is a Client Information panel. The required field for this panel is the client and the project start date. In our example, we will choose San Francisco Public Library as our client. So click on the drop-down menu and choose the client. We'll choose the location of a client, the client contact person, and the client accountant. There is a list of program group codes on the training homepage. In this example, we will use Blip as a program group. So click on the drop-down menu and choose Blip. In this example, we'll put August 1st as a project start date. Note that the labor start date in the budget details cannot be before project start date. The plan completed date, the design completed date, the construction started date, construction completed date, and the project close date are an optional field. If you have that information, please input it in the box. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. The description field is where you describe the scope of work. Now, click on Save New Job Order button. After you click on the Save New Job Order button, the system-generated job order number will be generated on the upper right-hand corner, which is 7356A. The next section, we have the Sources of Funds detail panel. There's 4 buttons in this panel. We have the Add button, which is adding new sources of funds to this job order. We have the Export button, which is to export data into an Excel spreadsheet. I will go into more detail at a later section. We have the Minimize button, which is to minimize data on the right-hand column. And the last button we have is the PMDB button, and I will also go through it at a later section. Now, let's add the source of fund to this panel. Click on the Add button. In this panel, the required field is the client department and the source description. Funding codes are generally optional for the bureaus, and it is mandatory for all the accountants. If the funding is coming from the annual CIP budget, you can place a check mark in the CIP funded field and choose the fiscal year of allocation. But in our example, we will not use the CIP funded, so uncheck the CIP funded field. We will choose the client department, which is the public library. We'll type in the source description. The fund type is general obligation bonds. Funding code We're going to add the amount for $1.5 million. Project code, we will use CLB BL2 MP00. If the job order is grant funded, please input the grant code, the grant expiration date, and check the grant funded checkbox. If it is a work order, please input the work order document number, the effective date, and the expiration date. Otherwise, in our example, we will leave it as is and click on the Save button. In the Sources of Funds Summary panel, it's a read-only panel and it summarizes the source of funds detailed below. And this concludes the training video for part 1.